We've all been there. The moment is perfect, but our camera loses focus. Whether it's horses or swans, our gear is useless if it can't find focus. I failed at this exactly until I discovered these 3 specific solutions. In this video, I'm going to show you how to outsmart your gear using 3 unconventional solutions. These aren't just for my images. You can adapt them to any situations, no matter how difficult the conditions. When you're looking at the finished print of the Camargue horses in France, you're seeing the single luckiest moment of my career. At least that's what I want you to believe. But wait, the truth is that on my first trip, I completely failed. And I spent my entire budget for results that look like a muddy, blurry mistake. Today I'm breaking down these 3 failures that destroyed my vision, and 1 dangerous technical decision that changed everything on my final attempt. If you only look at your masterpiece photograph, you're missing the blueprint of what your sensor needs to actually survive high-speed action. I solved this problem in my mind during the trip number 1. But wait, actually performing it in the swamp in France was another story entirely. Okay, the first problem was the splashing of the water when the horses were running. Every time the horses charged, the water drops near their face were stealing my autofocus, leaving the eye soft and muddy. Second, I was too far, which meant I had to crop more than 50%. And that's where it goes wrong, because I was shooting at ISO 640 for my look. But if I crop that much, that texture falls apart. The image breaks. And the third problem was that my shutter was too slow. I was freezing some action, but the horses were still too blurry. There wasn't enough light for me to increase my shutter speed. So I just stopped photographing while they kept on running. But I had only 4 runs left for the day, so I made a mental shift. I decided that my system was broken and I needed to redefine my solutions. We can fix the distance and the shutter speed easily. But if we don't fix the autofocus problem, no other solution would matter. Because everything could be solved, but if you come back with blurry images, no one is looking at your image or buying that for that matter. Blurriness is the destroyer of every good image. Fixing distance and shutter speed. I physically walked deeper into the swamp. By getting closer, I eliminated the crop factor and solved my ISO noise dilemma in 1 move. It was early in the morning, but the sun was shining at few spots. So I chose that one spot that wasn't in the shadow so I could increase my shutter speed. This simple trick gave me the shutter speed I needed to freeze the moment. But stay with me, even with the perfect distance and shutter, the biggest problem, focus, remained unsolved. So here's the biggest reveal: abandoning autofocus. Yes, you heard that right. I stopped autofocus completely. This is a technical decision I made. I stopped my lens from focusing entirely. I turned my switch to manual focusing. The only way to beat the water drops was to manually lock focus on a specific piece of tall grass, allowing the horses to run into the focus area rather than me chasing them with my autofocus. I felt confident my mental solutions would work. But wait, now I had to actually execute it physically with only 4 attempts left. On run number 1, my heart was beating so fast because of the pressure I had given myself that I forgot to press my shutter button and I missed every single shot on that run. Now I had 3 to go. Run number 2, 3, and 4, I pressed the shutter button, but I was too wide open at f2.8 and it was too shallow. Every single photograph missed focus. My trip was over. I went back to New York defeated, but for some reason I just could not let go. I kept on seeing that image in my brain and it wasn't leaving me. I decided to go back again. I went back again and again and again. I went back 4 times, and every single time I went back, I would not be able to come back with a good image. I failed with my focusing, or I failed with the shutter speed. I just kept on failing. On my 5th one, I got lucky. The horses ran straight into the focus area. With all that water splashing, my camera didn't hesitate. My camera kept the manual focus and got the eyes tack sharp. Nothing about this photograph was lucky. Every solution I engineered failed multiple times before I could get lucky, or I should say blessed. I came from knowing my problem, solving it mentally, and having the desire to go back again and again despite of my failures. I finally won, and I got what I wanted. This breakdown is a proof that your bad photos are only your best instructors. Let me show you what happened when my camera was not focusing properly in Norway with these 2 dark horses that were just impossible to focus on. After the swamp in France, I traveled to Norway for a vision that should have been simple. 2 dark horses playing in the snow. But the moment they were released in front of my camera went blind. I couldn't lock focus on a single eye, and I went home to New York with nothing but disappointment. I realized that to get this shot, I needed to solve 2 problems: a biological problem and a technical focusing contrast problem. If you think focus is just about pressing a button, wait until you're in the sub-zero wind with 2 dark subjects that have 0 contrast for your focusing system to grab. Alright, first we had to solve the story. The horses weren't playing with each other for a long time. My rancher Morton suggested something radical. Separate these 2 brothers for days, so that the moment they see each other again, their emotions would explode. I flew back to Norway. The plan for the horses was set, but wait, I still had no solutions for the autofocusing. I spent the night tossing and turning in the ranch house, knowing that I had exactly few minutes of the emotional energy before the horses calmed down and the shot was gone forever. The next morning, I was on my knees in the snow. My fingers taped with white bandages to protect them from old frostbite, and that's when I saw it. The horses were very dark. My tape was bright white. I realized if I placed the tape underneath the horse's eye, I could create an artificial contrast. The camera needed to lock focus. I asked Morton if that would be okay, and since it was a band-aid, he allowed me to stick the tape underneath the horse's eye. That gave my camera the opportunity to grab contrast and lock focus on the horse's eye. And finally, I was blessed with the image I had seen in my brain for years. This image didn't come from a new lens. It came from a roll of medical tape and the rancher who understood the heart of his animals. When you stop being a passenger to your camera's limitations, you finally become a creator of your own vision. Now let's look at the 3rd image. The image that threw my mind off totally, and I had no solutions to it. Or so I thought. I traveled to Canada to photograph the trumpeter swan, thinking it would be an absolute easy shoot. But I actually walked into a focusing trap. Most people think the biggest challenge of photographing a white subject is exposure. But the real enemy on this shoot was contrast again. Today I'm going to break down my 4 days of failure to get a sharp image of a trumpeter swan, and then later to come up with an unconventional technical solution for a single sharp image. If you think your expensive autofocus system can differentiate between a black eye and a black beak in the white snow, you are in for a blurry disappointment. I tried every wildlife standard techniques, but it was impossible until I realized the solution wasn't in the subject's face. It was in the surrounding area. Alright, first we have to look at the trumpeter swan itself. Its eye is exactly the same color as the beak, and it's pure black. There is zero separation. The autofocus doesn't see an eye. It just sees a black blob. But wait, in Norway, I could add contrast with white tape. In Canada, adding contrast was physically impossible. So I stood on the ice, taking photographs for 3-4 days and getting nothing. I kept on failing and watched my hit rate go down. I stopped shooting on day 5. I needed to bridge the gap between technical confusion and clarity. I began watching the bird more intensely. And then I realized something that was sitting right in front of my eyes. I couldn't focus on the eye, but there was a sharp edge of contrast where the black beak met the clean white feathers. I used the smallest focusing point and placed it right at that intersection of the beak and the white feathers. And that helped me lock focus in that area. Since the contrast point was on the same focusing plane as the eye turned out tack sharp. But wait, and here was another solution that I was working with. I was keeping an eye on the swan's eye. I was watching where the swan was looking, because if the swan looked in a dark spot, the darkness of the eye was faded away. But if the swan looked into the snow, there was a little bit of contrast in the eye because of the reflection, and my camera picked that up. Being mindful of these two things, the beak to feather line and the direction of the gaze, is the only way I was able to achieve focus. And that's the reason why I achieved this image. This image wasn't luck. It was a result of technical analysis and 4 days of failure. When you start using the environment as part of your camera system, you stop being a technician and become an artist. Alright, that's it for this episode. If you want to improve your photography, go watch this playlist, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.